Now call this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome to the July 23rd City of Hollister Planning Commission meeting. May I have the verification of agenda posting, please? Oh, excuse me. There's a swearing in of officers. Christine?
I think you go, want it down there?
Down there?
Or here? We'll do it there. Okay. Shall I move? Let me move. You see the mic?
Moral support.
Blackie, Blue Ink, what is it? It's gonna be Blue Ink. Not at all done. You gotta use yours. Okay, so, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, David Uboy,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully
discharge
discharge
the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Congratulations, Dr.
2 more years.
2 more years. 2 more years.
Here we are. Thank you. Well.
Sign that one. This is yours. That one's yours.
Oh, what happened to blue pen?
Probably don't have to take it.
Is blue?
No, but that's your copy.
Figured that was a robocall.
That's right.
Nice.
Reminding me of my doctor. Hey, do we have a...
Just a few words before I ask verification of agenda posting. I know Chris has been a good planning commissioner for several years, and I love the city, I love the community, and I know the role of a planning commissioner is challenging, but yet it's rewarding, and I really enjoy it. So I just want to thank everyone involved, and I pledge to continue to give my best service, my best effort. Thank you so much. Chris, do you want to say a few words? You're welcome. Okay. I'll ask for a verification of agenda posting.
Thank you, Chair. The agenda for the Planning Commission meeting of Thursday, July 23rd, 2015 was posted on Friday, July 17th, 2015 at 4:15 p.m.
Thank you, Bill. Commissioner Alvarez, will you lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. Have roll call, please.
Commissioner Alvarez?
Here.
Commissioner Lenore?
Present.
Commissioner Torres?
Here.
Commissioner Harvey?
Here.
Chairman Huboy?
Here. I'm asking for approval of minutes dated May 28th, 2015. A motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of May 28, 2015 as presented.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Communications from public on items not listed on the agenda. Bill, any speaker cards?
I have no speaker cards.
Okay. We go on to public hearings. Item number 1. General Plan Amendment 2015-1 and Pre-Zone 2015-2. Hugh Bickle requesting a general plan amendment for land use designation change from low-density residential LDR to medium-density residential MDR. And I-332 infill development class 32. Abraham?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant is requesting a general plan amendment for a total of 5 acres for a land use designation change from low-density residential, which requires 1 to 8 dwelling units per acre, to medium-density residential, which requires 8 to 12 units per acre. The site consists of fallow land with 1 existing single-family residential dwelling unit on site. One of the determinations that LAFCO must make when approving annexation is that the services will be available. Pending pre-zone and annexation of the property, the applicant would like to propose a planned unit development consisting of smaller, approximately 2,500 square foot residential lots. The proposal would be residential density of 10 dwelling units per acre as opposed to the as proposed to residential density of less than 8 dwelling units per acre, which is why the applicant is requesting the general plan amendment from low-density residential to medium-density residential. There is an existing 6-inch water main along Chapel Road and Maple Street, and an 8-inch water main along Primavera Drive and Lorraine Drive. There is an 8-inch sanitary sewer main along Lorraine Drive terminating into the project site, and a 6-inch line along Maple Street. There is also an existing 54-inch storm drain main through Primavera Drive. The City of Hollister city limits currently end along the west, north, and south boundaries of the project site. Single-family homes currently exist to the north, west, and south of the project site.
Thank you, Joe. A consistency analysis of the proposed project with the policies is included, and the proposed project was determined to be consistent. And we're going to share a little bit about the consistency with LAFCO policy. LAFCO policy section 2.3.1 requires that the applicant demonstrate with the plan for services that the city is capable of providing services to the territory that is being annexed, and this is consistent. The applicant has provided a plan for providing services to the project site. The project site is an unincorporated island, and the annexation will not require the expansion of police or fire protection services to a new territory, and existing sewer and water and storm drain lines are in place to serve the property. Also, LAFCO policy section 2.3.3 requires that the boundary resulting from annexation must not create areas difficult to serve. And this is consistent. As stated previously, the project site is substantially surrounded by the city of Hollister, and development as a result of the annexation will not require expansion of services. LAFCO policy section 2.3.4 requires that the boundaries of a proposed annexation be definite and certain and must conform to lines of assessment whenever possible. This is also consistent. A legal description and map is attached to the resolution. The 2005-2023 City of Hollister General Plan includes several land use and community design element and housing element policies that relate to residential land uses, providing a variety of housing types and the efficient use of housing sites. There's a few, we're going to only mention a few of them, such as Land Use Policy 8.4, Neighborhood Scale, requiring to preserve and enhance the character of existing residential neighborhoods by limiting encroachment of new buildings and activities that are out of scale and character with surrounding uses. And of course, this project is not going to do that, as this is just a pre-zone, but the applicant has already has a preliminary design of what they would like to develop. Also, Housing Element Policy 2.2, it indicates that the design that fits into the neighborhood context, enhance neighborhood identity and sense of community by designing new housing with a sensitive transition of scale and compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. Again, this is also single-family homes on smaller lots, and right now we're looking at a transition to existing single-family homes that are in the surrounding vicinity as well. And also housing policy 3.2 indicates general plan and zoning for housing, maintain an adequate supply of land designated for all types of residential development to meet the regional housing need. And this is another reason why there's being a general plan amendment request also from low density residential, which allows 1 to 8 units per acre, to medium density residential from which changes to 10 to 12 units per acre, smaller lots, which the applicant is looking into doing. Section 2.2.18 LAFCO policy prohibits the creation of unincorporated islands. The project site, together with the properties to the west of the project site, comprises an unincorporated island at this time. LAFCO will require the properties along the west of the Planning Commission review the request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and approve the attached resolutions, recommended to the City Council the approval of General Plan Amendment 2015-1 from low density residential to medium density residential, and pre-zone application 2015-2, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolutions. Does the Commission have any questions for staff?
Any questions for staff? Just have a comment on general plan policy H 3.1, how the project relates to that, just as a point of discussion. So we're looking at, I guess, for a 2,500 square foot lot, what would I call a garden home?
They could be like
Small.
small log home, courtyard units as well. Yeah, they're single family small lot homes.
So would that give the flexibility to rent or sell somewhat affordable, would you say, or?
By design, because of being smaller lots, the applicant has not expressed specifically if they're going to be affordable or not. But by design, being that they're smaller than our standard 5,500 square foot lots, yeah, they should be more, even at market rate. Should be more affordable than our standard single family lots.
Carol, did you have a comment?
I agree with Abraham. Obviously, they'll probably be a little lower in price than
Yeah.
a larger lot.
I see, we're seeing
Some
more.
people don't want the big yard either.
That's correct.
We're seeing more of these smaller lots, these
Well-
garden homes.
Well, we need diversity.
Diversity, okay, so maybe that's the diversity that Commissioner Lenore
And we
mentioned
need to meet the regional housing needs.
would relate to H 3.1.
That's correct.
All right, that's the only comment I had.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes.
The other two parcels that'll occur at LAFCO, have the property owners, do they know what's going on?
Yes, they
At this
have.
point?
They have been
They
notified.
didn't want to be a part of this? Sometimes you know how you lump them together?
Yes.
They weren't ready at this point, or?
They have been
Okay.
notified.
Yeah.
We will also, pending your decision tonight of recommending to City Council, we will contact them again because there will be another public hearing. And at this point, they are just going to be together with this 5-acre site. We do not have to process their application individually. We can
Two
do it
separate property owners on the other 2 lots?
separate property owners on. There are actually 3 lots. One of them is
Three,
just
one and the other one?
yeah,
Okay.
just north of the
Yeah.
post office, and then the other just west of the project site.
Okay. So I will open up the public hearing now at 6:16. Bill, any speaker cards?
I'm Hugh Bickle, and we've been building in Hollister for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. This is kind of a fun project, and it's very similar to any of you folks know where Save Mart is. Back behind that is a project called Holland Circle with very nice gated community, private park, and really a nice street scene, very much in the new urbanist style of planning. That's the coming thing as we get done, because we just can't afford to be chewing up our agricultural land and building nothing but large, lot tracts. We've also got to offer people things like this. And, the Holland Circle is selling in the high 300s, where everything else in town now is selling in the high 400s to the low 600s. So it opens up a whole additional market for the younger couples and the older couples who want to sell their big home and move into a smaller place that's less maintenance and less problems. Mm-hmm. But these are true single-family homes. There's a standard 5-foot setback on either side. There's from the second story, there's in the back of the house, it's 15 feet to the rear fence. The little garage, the 1-story portion, pokes back to where it's only 5 or 6 feet from the wall. But it's a lovely, lovely street scene, and as you can see on the right of the picture that's up there, I just think that's great. Now we're going to take that, we're going to tweak it, and make it a little better. The planter areas for the big trees are too small on that one, so we're making those bigger so that the big trees don't end up cracking the sidewalks or cracking the curbs, or it will certainly take a lot longer to do that, and it'll just look prettier. And we're I don't know if you can tell off of the plan that's up there. Can you go back to the other plan? Yeah. But Holland Circle curved the street like this, and the end houses, you kind of got to drive in front of one house to get back to the other house. And there's no place for pedestrians at Holland Circle to get out except the front and one other place, where we're opening it up to where we're, in a sense, extending the little mini streets down to the exterior and putting pedestrian bicycle exits at those 4 places, as well as out the back to the existing street, as well as out the front where the cars come in. So it gives much more circulation for the pedestrian, because a pedestrian doesn't want to walk in this direction to go around to here and to come back to here. He wants to go in a straight line if at all possible. So we're taking Hollister, which was built 20 years ago, something like that. Great job, very forward looking, and we're trying to tweak it, make it better. I'm spending my nights and weekends now drawing up plans, so this is one of the smaller lots I've ever worked with. We've done lots of apartments and things like that, but those are just different when you try and put it on a single family lot that you can sell to somebody that's theirs. Boy, you got to really work at it to get it to fit. You're an architect, you know what I'm saying.
I know what
it's
you're
not
saying.
easy, is it?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
The streetscape perspective view there, where was that taken? that streetscape?
About 2 months ago, I guess.
Where was it taken? Where was it?
Oh, at Holland Circle.
At Holland Circle, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Because you don't see, normally, you would see the sidewalk, I like to see like a pedestrian, you're talking about pedestrian, a buffer of trees, curb, trees, sidewalk, but this, you don't see the planters going out from the curb, tree planters like that. You don't see that very often.
You see it a lot in Europe.
I see.
And especially when I was in Germany, I saw more of it than probably any other country. And apparently the developer of this 20-some years ago was from Germany. And and you can tell it in the architecture, you can tell it with these street trees, and it really works. I mean, it's a nice way to do it, because your car, in a sense, can park under a tree and be shaded.
It is, and it does give you protection because you don't have cars that are going to be whizzing by right close to the curb.
No, this is a closed, private community, and most people have enough sense to slow down when they get close to their home because their neighbors will yell at them.
Right, and also it does give you a nice, maximize your front yard space without having to compromise a planting strip next to the curb.
It's
It's
fun
good
doing
solution. I
something.
like it.
At my age, it's fun to do something new, that's all. I've been doing this for 50-some years now.
Well, I
I'm
commend
sorry,
you for
any
that.
other questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Bickle? Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Hugh. Any other speakers? Any
No, sir.
to address the commission on item number 1? No further speakers. I will close the public hearing now at 6:22. Bring it back to the commission. So we're looking at general plan amendment and pre-zone. Comments?
Well, just from knowing Mr. Bickle for the last couple of decades, does bring a fine product to the city as well as the county. And this is a little different for him because has built some large houses on 5-acre lots. And it's nice to see that he's doing something different, and he always makes it look good. Anytime you see a Creek Bridge development, it looks good.
Yeah.
So I just don't see anything going bad or not being good.
I appreciate his
He's
comments on.
conscientious
yeah.
on aesthetics. And I
And-
always like that.
Right, and pedestrian access and new urbanism.
And the
right,
new
Right.
planning
Yes.
practices.
Which I'm also a proponent of.
Yes.
Any other comments?
Looks like a nice project.
Also, the council did ask us when possible to endorse the smaller lot where appropriate for affordability. I think this is a great example of our last joint meeting of another instance where we're in tune with what the council would like to see. So that's another good thing.
Right. Be interesting to see the floor plans, so you probably have the open space concept, get it, so you can maximize the perception of space within a small structure. Okay, so I entertain a motion.
Which one first, the GPA or the pre-zoning?
GPA,
The GPA.
Resolution 2015-21 and 22.
21 for the GPA?
Yes.
I'll give a motion.
Mhm.
I'll move
Okay.
that the planning commission approve the recommendation of general plan amendment to the city council for low density to medium density residential for the development applicant of Hugh Bickle. As presented in this, as with the conditions as stated.
Okay. Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The general plan amendment has been approved. Now I entertain a motion for the pre-zone. Go ahead.
Want me to do that?
Yes, I do.
Anybody else?
You're on a
Okay.
roll.
No problem. So I move that the, let's see, that's the next one, the right one
Your
here.
resolution.
Pre-zone.
number,
I move that the planning commission, let me just read this a second, so I word it right. I move that the planning commission recommend to the city council the approval of the ordinance adopting the requested rezoning for application number 2015-2 with the conditions as stated in the resolution. Findings and conditions.
I'll second that. I have a motion and a second.
2015-22.
2015-22.
Yes.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 1 has been approved. Congratulations. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Continue the good work, you. We're counting on you. Okay. So we go to item number 2, site and architectural review number
Kind of stumbling.
2015-6. Robert Kane, requesting approval of a site and architectural review for the construction of a 1,350 square foot tire service storage building on a .5 acre lot within the existing San Benito tire site. The property is located at 246 Tres Pinos. Road in the neighborhood mixed-use zoning district, APN 056-250-007, CEQA categorically exempt. Staff report, please.
Thank you. So the applicant is requesting site and architectural approval for the construction of a 1,350 square foot service storage building for San Benito Tire on a half-acre site. The property is located within the neighborhood mixed-use zoning district. The exterior of the proposed building would match that of the existing buildings on site, with stuccoed parapets and stuccoed building facades with the lower 1/3 covered in stone. Number of parking spaces required. An office administrative use requires 1 space for each parking spaces. Customer service per service bay plus adequate. Therefore, we spaces. Now, prior to the sending out of site plan has been submitted, and it does comply with. The city is meeting the general plan, zoning, and complete streets concept by requiring consolidated driveways and avoiding excess driveways along Tres Pinos Road. At this time, the site has 2 existing access points directly from Tres Pinos Road. The applicant would be required to have a single access point on Tres Pinos Road in accordance with the Tres Pinos Road, Shumash, and Rancho long-term improvement plan. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider approving site and architectural application number 2015-6, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Are there any questions for staff?
So just to make it clear that the revised plan does meet the parking requirements that has been subsequent to what we're looking at here.
That is correct.
And they're going to consolidate the 2 drives into 1.
That
That's
is
part of the project. Okay.
Not as part of this project, but when the Complete Streets does its thing, right? They're not eliminating their driveway at this time. They're gonna do it when they do the, at this time?
It's gonna be a part
He's
of,
gonna reconfigure his driveway with this project?
They'll just keep one and close the other one off, I would imagine.
No, they're gonna central it, aren't they?
it's gonna be frontage improvements to
Which
it.
one's driveway is going away, or are they making it someone down the center?
It's
What's it
gonna be
showing?
new.
'Cause, see,
It seems to me they would close the one on the, facing the building on
what's
the
this
left.
one right
I
here?
would
See
think
that? There's 2 right now. Can we see that Complete Streets again? See how it is? It's down the center.
Yeah,
So
they're
they're-
just adjusting both of them.
So that is a new drive.
So
they're gonna
they're gonna-
reconfigure and do a new drive entirely.
Yeah, by using,
Okay.
yeah.
They're gonna do that. This is gonna trigger that.
As a condition of approval, that is
Function
correct.
better than either one of them, although the one on the right.
It gets a little
probably
hairy
still
there, but
functional.
geez, they got a lot of stuff going in and out of there. But to have one driveway.
Okay, any other questions on the staff report from the commission?
I guess my only question would be, I mean, I understand the whole complete streets thing, but it seems like we're asking him to go to an additional expense because, you know, they have a lot of traffic and that they do a big business there. And I just question whether, is it really necessary to make him go to the expense of reconfiguring all that when he's had it that way for as long as he
It's
has?
not at his expense, though. It's part of the program, right?
Is
It
it
is
coming
per-
out of his pocket?
Dave, you want to comment on
I
that?
have the engineer.
Sure. In reviewing the plan and how it relates to complete streets, they're really taking two driveways, making it into one, which is consistent with the complete streets, because the whole complete streets process is to try and eliminate the driveways along that whole corridor. Looking at what the existing situation is, in order for them to get parking and eliminate any unused portion or drive approach, they would have to modify the one to the one on the east side and totally eliminate the one on the west side. So doing all that work, it's appropriate to require them to have that driveway placed in the middle to be consistent with the complete streets. If the complete street was not there, we would still require the same type of improvements, you know, for that project because of where their approved parking would be and their the requirement to remove any unused drive approaches as well. So it's not anything special to the complete streets. It is going to be consistent with the complete streets when everything's all said and done. So they would have to do this work anyways.
And the benefit is it takes out the confusion of those two drives there. I think from a functionality standpoint, having that one drive will work a lot better for them.
Yeah, definitely, and it'll be
Probably
sized.
will make it safer.
Yeah,
Make
it
safer,
will,
right.
and it'll also be, it should be sized to be able to allow cars coming in and cars
Mhm.
going out at the same time.
I agree with that. I agree with that solution.
Any other questions?
Is he still gonna have room to get the big things in there, though? You know, big RVs, does it limit his ability to, it's just gonna be big enough?
Yeah, it's.
He probably already
It
studied
should
that.
be, plenty big enough for him to do, you know, to continue operating his business as he
same.
already does.
Okay. Okay, Dave, thanks.
Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Rupsick?
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the staff report? No further questions. I'll open up the public hearing now at 6:34. Speaker cards, Bill?
I have no speaker cards.
Would the
I have no
applicant,
speaker cards.
the applicant care to address the commission?
I have another question, I'm sorry. I'll wait till you close it.
Anybody in the audience care to address the commission on item number 2? Well, we'll close the public hearing now at 6:35. Commissioner Lenore?
Tire storage outside, is that gonna go away? There won't be any more tires outside where people can see them?
That is correct.
That's good. Thank you.
Good, okay. Any discussion on this item? I'll entertain a motion on item number 2.
Chair, I'll go ahead and propose a motion to approve site and architectural review number 2015-6, PC Resolution 2015-23 as proposed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Item number 2 has been approved. We go on to item number 3. Minor subdivision 2015-2 and conditional use permit 2015-2 for a planned unit development for Duets. I hope I pronounced that right. Derek Del Curto requesting approval of a minor subdivision of 2 existing lots totaling approximately 5,605 square feet into 4 lots, and a conditional use permit for a planned unit development that would contain 2 approved duplexes per site and architectural reviews 2014-13, PC Resolution 2014-36, and Site and Architectural Review 2015-3, PC Resolution 2015-17. The property is located at 651 and 653 East Street in the downtown mixed-use zoning district, APN 054-031-005 and 004. CEQA categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15315, Minor Land Divisions, Class 15. Abraham or Jill? Who's going to take this on?
I got it.
Okay, Jill.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision approval of 2 previously approved duplex multifamily developments into 4 individual townhouse units and lots from 2 existing parcels totaling approximately 5,605 square feet. The applicant has already obtained permits to build the duplexes and has begun construction. The decision to divide each of the existing 2 lots into 4 parcels was made to allow for the sale of each individual townhouse unit. The proposed parcels 1 and 2 would continue to use the existing alley access from Brown Alley. Parcel 3 would have access from 7th Street, and Parcel 4 would have access from East Street. No modifications would be made to the previously approved Site and Architectural Review 2014-13 and Site and Architectural Review 2015-3 configuration of traffic flow on or directly off-site as a result of the minor subdivision application. Per Section 16.030, planned unit development is permitted when it is shown that a desirable living environment can be created in development by employing such structural forms such as townhouses. The applicant is proposing to subdivide existing 2 parcels into 4 parcels, therefore resulting in both previously approved duplexes into 4 townhouse units. The property is located within the Alquist-Priolo Special Study Seismic Zone. Per the Alquist-Priolo Earthquake Fault Zoning Act, Chapter 7.5, Article 2621.6, a project can mean either a subdivision of land, which is subject to the Subdivision Map Act, and which contemplates eventual construction of structures for human occupancy. These structures are for human occupancy, with the exception of the single-family wood frame or steel frame dwelling, not exceeding 2 stories, when that dwelling is not part of a development of 4 or more dwellings.
Thanks, Jill. The currently approved projects are 2 duplexes, multifamily developments on 2 existing parcels totaling approximately 5,605 square feet. The applicant has already obtained permits to build the duplexes and has begun construction. The decision to build the duplexes and to divide each of the existing lots into 4 new lots was made to allow for the possible individual sale of the units. That is the purpose behind this. Per Section 2621.6 of the Public Resource Code, any subdivision of land which is subject to the Subdivision Map Act and which contemplates the eventual construction of structures for human occupancy is considered a project and therefore subject to the Alquist-Priolo Act, as already mentioned by Jill as well. So therefore, the Development Review Committee of the City of Hollister, when reviewed this application, per the Alquist-Priolo Act, Earthquake Fault Zoning Act, required that the applicant would be subject to a geologic fault investigation in compliance with the Department of Conservation and the Alquist-Priolo Earthquake Fault Zoning Act. So therefore, that was the recommendation of the Development Review Committee. We did get a letter from the city attorney, basically which reads, and you all have a copy of that as well. It is clear that a 4-plex theoretically could have been built on each lot without becoming a project for purposes of the Alquist-Priolo Act. After obtaining permits to build duplexes and beginning construction, the decision was finalized to seek the division of each existing lot into 2 new lots to allow for sale of units instead of renting same. A review of the Alquist-Priolo Act clarifies that the underlying purpose of the Act is to require additional seismic review when densities would be increased through utilization of the subdivision process. Here, the existing duplexes were allowed under existing base zoning and no additional dwelling units are created by the subdivision of land. Conclusion, the requested action to subdivide the existing parcels does not require additional seismic evaluations and is proper if planning staff and commission make appropriate findings as indicated in staff report. So therefore, we do, based on the Development Review Committee recommendations, a condition for a geologic special study seismic act fault investigation is in here in the draft resolution. However, we do have this letter from our city attorney indicating the conclusions as stated. Staff recommends the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider approving minor subdivision application 2015-2 and conditional use permit 2015-2 for a planned unit development, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Does the commission have any questions for staff?
I do have questions. So I guess we're not, even though the subdivision, we're not increasing the density, so we're exempt from the having to do the fault studies. I think logistically, I don't even know how they would go about that, but I understand the point from Mr. Sullivan's position here. But just on the site plan, I'm just trying to read this if I can understand it correctly. The crosshatched area in the center, that's like yard space? Is that, we haven't addressed like open yard space, open space requirements.
These are the,
I'm not sure how to differentiate yard space from drive ingresses and all that. Is that, can you clarify that for me?
So these were the site architectural previous approvals. So the parcel 1 and 2 that's proposed, that was the previous site architectural proposal. On parcel 1, the crosshatched area is a permeable pavers, and that's for the parking for actually the unit that's under parcel 2. So they're gonna have to record some cross-access agreements prior to the minor subdivision, the final parcel map. And then right actually on parcel 2, that's their that is their private open space located there. So yeah, so the design hasn't changed from your previous approval at Planning Commission for both of those duplexes. They're just simply doing a subdivision to create townhouses opposed to two duplexes. Mm-hmm. So the design hasn't changed from previous review.
And we're probably looking at party walls where those property lines are to provide the spaces. Okay. Any other questions for staff? We good? No further questions. Open the public hearing now at 17 minutes to 7.
I don't have any speaker cards, Chair.
Okay. Would the applicant care
They're
to
in the back row, though.
Applicant care to address the commission on item number 3? Okay. Any questions for the applicant from the commission? Okay, we're good. I'll close the public hearing now at 16 minutes to 7.
When we discussed the downtown commercial mixed use or the downtown mixed use, I mean, we never really clarified that some should be rentals and some should be ownership, Bill? Do you remember anything? I mean, we're trying to encourage development downtown, but we never said, I was liking that those were gonna be maybe possible rentals. Because we don't have hardly any rental stock in town. So I was a little bit taken aback that now it'll be ownership and then the new one, that the next item you're gonna discuss as well is ownership.
Yeah, we've never contemplated the ownership versus the rental aspect in mixed use, and I think that there may be some. Well, I shouldn't even say that, because in San Jose, a lot of the mixed-use buildings that are in downtown San Jose happen to be condominiumized now too. So I mean, it's just one of those things. It's probably developer-driven and or owner-driven.
And I agree. We need more rental units, but the townhomes, you don't see many townhomes.
I don't really just mean to say that against this project,
No.
just in
Yeah,
general.
just in general.
You know, will we ever get any rentals? This is a small site, so, you
Yeah.
know, it's not really a big hit not to have it as a rental, but at some point, it would be nice.
Well, they have the option to rent, but,
I mean, they could be purchased and rented as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
that's all.
all right. So, any other discussion on this? Okay. I entertain a motion on item number 3. I'll go ahead and make the, oh,
Okay,
go ahead.
I move, you want me to?
Go ahead, yeah.
I move that the planning commission adopt PC resolution 2015 dash, is it,
24?
24, approving conditional use permit, no, that's the next one, sorry, approving minor subdivision 2015-2, as presented in the staff report and the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Commissioner, can we intervene just for a little bit? We do have, as part of the conditions, that based on the original DRC recommendation for the geologic fault investigation.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right.
right. Thank
Would-
you, Abraham.
sure.
So, we're gonna, can you,
With the-
go ahead and amend your motion?
With the amendment,
Mm-hmm.
or also with the change, not requiring the geologic investigation per the recommendation from city council.
From city
Council.
From the council. Okay.
Yes, council.
Any further
Is that
discuss-
what you wanted?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
perfect.
Any further discussion on that motion? Okay. Is that-
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So the minor subdivision has been approved. So we go on to conditional use permit for the planned unit development. Carol?
I move that the planning commission adopt PC resolution 2015-25 approving conditional use permit 2015-2 for plan unit development, as presented in the staff report and the resolution.
Draft resolution, okay.
The condition is in there as well for the geologic fault.
Correct, with the additional condition.
Thanks.
Second.
Is that a second, Commissioner Harvey? I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
The conditional use permit has been approved. Congratulations. Oh, back in the back row there. Okay. Now we go on to item number 4. Site and architectural review number 2015-5. Tentative map 2015-3. Variance 2015-1. And conditional use permit for a planned unit development number 2015-4. Darren Del Curto requesting approval of a tentative map subdivision and a conditional use permit for a planned unit development of a .39 acre lot into 8 lots consisting of 7 residential lots and 1 commercial lot. A request for a variance of common open space requirements and site and architectural review 2015-5 for the construction of a 2-story commercial building facing San Benito Street consisting of a 2,208 on individual lots. 853 San Benito Street in the 56-020-0.
Chairman Uboy, if you'll please excuse me, I have a conflict of interest, means I live within 300 feet of the property. Okay?
Okay, Carol? Go back into the meditation room back there. Yeah. You turn the light off. Okay, ready for a staff report?
Yes. The applicant is requesting, excuse me just a moment. The applicant is requesting approval of a tentative map subdivision and conditional use permit for a planned development of a .39 acre lot into 8 lots consisting of 7 residential lots and 1 commercial lot, a request for a variance of common open space requirements, and a site architectural review 2015-5 for the construction of a 2-story commercial building facing San Benito Street consisting of 2,208 square foot lot 1 zoning district of the city of Hollister. The existing driveway is a private interior access street throughout. There we go. As you can see on your, it would be up from the audience on your right side at east elevation for commissioners will be on your, I guess it's still on your right side on those screens there. The commercial facade facing San Benito Street would be a stucco exterior with first floor recessed windows. The main entry door would be arched with a tiled overhang. The second story would be a barrel tile at a 4.512 pitch roof and French doors leading into a 72 square foot wrought iron balconies looking over San Benito Street. The balconies would be covered with a barrel tile gable style roof adorned with clay vents. There would be an area dedicated to future wall signage located above the main entry door. The townhouse units, here's kind of a perspective rendering. So there's the commercial proposed off San Benito Street, and there's the private drive going from San Benito Street to East Street, and there's the view of the townhouse's exterior. So the townhouse units would be using a variety of stucco and corrugated metal siding, which is harmonious with nearby structures. Commercial use. So there's a condition of approval within the resolution that has been placed in, but also, like I mentioned, placed in the draft resolutions requiring that prior to the building permit issuance, the applicant shall record a reciprocal parking agreement with the adjacent parcel located west of the project site. Currently, there are approximately 21 parking spaces on the parking lot site. The applicant would need to record the reciprocal parking agreement for 9 parking spaces prior to the building permit issuance.
Thanks, Joe. Per section 17.04.040, multifamily residential general development standards, each unit should have at least 64 square feet of private open space when it is provided by a deck or a balcony, or 100 square feet when provided by a yard at ground the entire site with commercial in the front and residential behind. It's not necessarily in the same building, but it is a horizontal attached development which complies. Currently, the neighboring parcel to the south uses the existing San Benito Street driveway to access existing multifamily units. A condition has been placed on the project stating that prior to the installation and approve tentative map number 2015-3, variance number 2015-1, and conditional use permit number 2015-4 for a plan unit development and site and architectural review, application number 2015-5, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolutions. Does the commission have any questions for staff?
Yes, I do. On the findings for the variance for the common open space, again, did you state that? I mean, look at it, if I was to look at the long rectangular site, and the only way I could see is just taking out one of the units, and you have a concealed open space, but then it's hard to access. I think it's probably the geometry of the site, the way I see it.
Correct, Chairman Huboy, and another thing is the applicant trying to meet the minimum densities required by the downtown commercial mixed use.
Minimum density.
That's
Okay.
correct for residential.
The other comment I had is on the use of siding material.
Yes.
It was the metal siding from compatibility. I don't know of any compatibility other than the cannery that's on East Street. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
The
'cause I don't know of
surrounding
any,
structures.
I don't know of any other metal siding along San Benito Street.
I'm trying.
There's probably
yeah.
something there, but I
this-
don't normally see it.
And they're trying to, and it will blend in with the mixture of other material as well.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. There might be, with the noise coming from the cannery, it might be an issue with the metal siding, and so proximate to that, the noise coming off the metal siding, you may want to reconsider stuccoing that one area, just as a comment. Okay.
Okay.
Any other comments from Commission on staff report?
Chair, just for clarification purposes, I noticed here on the staff report you have for the additional parking across the street, APM 056110070, but on sheet C2 from San Benito Engineering, it has it as 056011007. So
Okay, so that, yeah, it would be we've identified the site. There's about two parking lot sites across the street, and we're using the APN that was provided on the plan set. But yeah, so we could verify that as well, but that's the one on the plan set,
Okay.
so, correct. So they have to get that recorded prior to even issuing the building permit. Correct.
Chris?
My only concern is slowing down traffic through there. People won't use that as a fast way to get onto San Benito Street.
Cut through traffic,
Yeah.
commission hours.
That's what I'm, trying to look at it, and it's my biggest concern. I don't know if we could put something on there to slow down the traffic, or traffic bumps or something like that. That's my only.
That certainly is a traffic calming measure. That certainly. The fence that they are proposing as well should narrow it down a little bit more to the south, but that is something right now would be the opportunity to request a condition like that for traffic calming. But
David Beacon.
David?
So as far as the traffic goes, looking at what the existing site was, it already had a driveway that went from one side to the other. So you're really not changing anything from what the existing was to now. Of course, putting in a nice paved area, people are going to want to drive a little bit quicker. there is the possibility of people using it as cut-through traffic. So, you know, it is a private site. The applicant, when construction occurs, they do have the ability to place speed bumps or do speed humps or any other type of traffic calming measure in that area. They can, you know, as long as they maintain the distance required for backing out of the driveways, you know, they can encroach upon that driveway as much as possible. It will be, from my understanding, will be an area that will be red zone as a fire lane, so there will be no additional parking in there. But, you know, the answer to the question on will people speed through there, will people use it as cut-through traffic, it is very possible that that will happen. The applicant can mitigate that by placing a traffic calming mitigation appropriate to the site, and that could be speed bumps or speed humps.
Would it be like at the, near the approach, the ingress from San Benito Street going, because it's like a, I can see the point there, it could be like a racetrack going through from San Benito to East Street.
Yeah, proper placement would probably have one on each end, probably about 20 to 30 feet in from the back of sidewalks on either side, and maybe one in the middle. But that's something that their civil engineer or designer can recommend for them. They also have to be careful that they're not blocking any drainage issues that may be there.
Those are all pervious pavers there. My
Right,
understanding is
and
right.
yeah, and so that they have to look at that area where the bump would be non-pervious, a
Right.
non-pervious area.
Chris, is that?
I know, that was my only concern. I just, I go to that area all the time, so,
Mhm.
I just see people and using it as a quick,
Certainly,
I'd
and-
probably do it myself.
certainly, and
You
that's
I'm gonna be honest with you.
yeah, that's
I live here, I gotta get
that's an
from A to
issue
B.
we try and actually address when projects do come through, and we'll either mention it to the applicant, or if it's a much larger project, we'll try and encourage them, or if we need to condition them to put some type of traffic calming. A very, very large project, we try and maintain the traffic calming by making cars have to meander around to get from one side to the other. We don't have the opportunity here, so it's pretty limited on what they'll be able to do.
Right.
Okay, that's just,
Okay.
my only question.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Any other questions on the staff report? I will open up the public hearing at 4 minutes after 7. Evening, Richard.
Richard Ferrer, 1131 Union Heights Drive. I'm one of the principal owners of the commercial property to the west of this property. After looking at that burnout hulk that's been there for, I don't know, it seems like 3-4 years now. And I don't know how many times I asked Billy when they're going to abate it. And to see what other property owners in the area, what we've been doing to try to clean up that part of town, this is a great sight that I see coming up. The only problem I got is the mention of the additional property to the west of it. If it's one of our properties, I'm sorry, but we can't do that. We barely make our property. But on the other hand, all that commercial property is doing is replacing the existing one that was there. And it was there forever. It was there as long as I can remember, and I was born in Hollister. And it functioned very well with the on-street, off-site parking. So as far as I'm concerned, that should be grandfathered in. It's just replacing what was ever there. As far as the residential, I think that's great. We're looking for infill. We're looking for affordable. You're looking for something that people could walk to. This is exactly what we need. It's here downtown. I mean, you go up to San Jose, like Santana Row and places like that. Sure, we're not San Jose. We don't have the people, don't have affordability, but this is a great step that I see coming. And I would really hope you people could approve this project, because I think it'll really help clean up the town. And on another question is, I wouldn't feel very sorry for the cannery, because they're not going to be here very long. I mean, we remember where the cannery used to work almost year-round. Only 2 months out of the year they didn't work. Now they're barely working 90 days, and it's down to one cannery, and they're here and they're gone. And to be honest with you, the sooner they leave, it's really going to help our community. There's no more product being produced in our area. They're bringing it from the valley to process here. And I think the only reason economically it still works for them, but that isn't going to last very long. So when you decide on what you do, I wouldn't take too much consideration on the cannery. But I think this is a great site. I think it's a great plan, and I hope you guys approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Hi, my name is Dave Hammerslaw. I represent the owners of the property to the south at 869 San Benito. This afternoon at 2:30, I had a conversation with the attorney representing the Del Curdos about the claims that my clients have to the proposed driveway area and the ingress and egress rights which they've established over 36 years, as well as parking rights that their tenants, they've got, I believe, 8 tenants in the back, use. At about 2:45, I was told by Rick Mendelson, who represents the Del Curdos, that they were not going to cooperate with my clients in terms of reaching some mutual workout of this dilemma, and we may end up, unfortunately, in court over whether or not there are prescriptive easement rights, or not. My request of you tonight is that you continue this to give the parties the opportunity to meet. We discussed having a mediator selected today. We've already exchanged potential dates. The 2 mediators are retired Judge Richard Silver or retired Justice Nat Agliano, both from Monterey County. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of retired judges in San Benito County that we can use. One. The point is, we've already exchanged dates of before August 31st. So I understand and learned for the first time tonight that there is a condition in there regarding working something out with us. The problem is that if you look at the artistic representation that was on these prior slides, it includes a wall along that south property line with, you see the planter area in the corner. So that effectively is going to block what we claim are rights that we've already established over 36 years. So the reason for the request for the continuance is to give us the opportunity to try to work something out. And we certainly have, equal concerns about parking, in this area. So that would be the request of the owners of 869. And I would appreciate a brief, continuance for us to have the opportunity to sit down and try to work something out. I don't know when the next hearing is. I brought my calendar. We can try to work around that if the commission would entertain that. So if you have any questions for me, but it's a good faith dispute. The Del Curdos are certainly more recent owners of this property, and as I said, my clients have 36 years and they're tenants of use there. So that's what the dispute is about. All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, Commissioners. My name's Darren Delcurto. I'm the applicant. That wall and the rendering is actually just placed there to give you the effect. We are in the process of working it out with our attorney and with the owners to the south of that wall. Right now, there is an opening in that wall for them to access their rentals in the back. And if they could prove that that opening and this easement has been used, we will continue to allow them to have that access. And I believe that you would put that condition on the conditions of the tentative map approval, I believe. So that I believe will be worked out in the conditions, and if they could prove that, we will definitely allow them to continue to use that access. There's many times that they park on the easement, which isn't really something that needs to be done. They could actually use that easement right now to access the rentals. There's many times they park there, which isn't going to work. I think there's 7 or 8 units in the back. They did have an access to those rear units from the San Benito Street parcel, and I don't think it's shown on the map there, but so if they could prove that, and we are going to be speaking to a mediator, and we would definitely allow them to continue to use that access if it's proved that they do have that easement right. I think the architectural design of the units is kind of conducive with what we're trying to go with the theme of having the industrial look along with the stucco. I don't know if you've driven by there in the last few days. I really expected that boiler in the cannery to be a lot louder than it is. It's really not as loud as I thought, but we will soundproof that first unit with windows and soundproofing in the inside as well. I think it's a good project. I think that the mixed use is in with what the city is trying to do, and I would recommend approval because we are looking at a couple other parcels for this same type of development. And this actually opens a door for a little bit more of affordable home for buyers, because you know that home prices are escalating to the point over 500,000. These will be offered for around 350 to 380. So it gives the first-time home buyer a great opportunity to own their first home. So I don't know if you had any questions for me.
You think then that it would be helpful to have some additional time to work out the easement issue?
I think that during the mediation, and we're more than willing to give them that access if that has been established. That's not a problem. But as far as parking on that easement, that would have to go away. I mean, there's many times, and I believe that they've been parking there. We've asked them to not park there, but they continue to do that. I think the ingress and egress to access their property, we could work that out. But as far as parking, obviously that's not going to work, because if they park there, people won't be able to back out of their garages on our units. So I think we could come to
and you're trying to work that because you need that off-site parking area for your parking requirement. So you're trying to work that out.
You mean the ingress and egress for the neighbors?
Well, no, you have some. Is this what about the off-site?
The off-site for the commercial?
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to work with Gronagles, but as Mr. Ferrer stated, that it is kind of grandfathered in. We would hope that I was expecting 4 parking spaces. This is the first time I've heard that we required 9. I mean, the worst case scenario is we go 3 stories and put parking on the bottom story. I don't know if that's something the city would like to see, as a 3-story building on the commercial end of San Benito Street there. But I think we could work out the parking. If that is, I'm sure that would be on the conditions of approval, right? Mm-hmm. So if we don't meet it, then we'll have to redesign that commercial unit that faces San Benito Street. Okay. So.
You can, yes, you can respond, right.
Unfortunately, it is not simply a dispute over ingress and egress. It also involves a dispute over the right to park. So that the scope of our historical use includes parking. And that's what we need to try to also work out and resolve. I don't see any harm in a short continuance to allow us to try to sit down in good faith, which we haven't had an opportunity to do at this point in time. And so what I'd like to see us try to do is sit down and come back with some joint, proposal that satisfies not only the commission's needs, but also the needs of everybody in that area with respect to ingress and egress and parking. And unfortunately, I respect the Del Curdos, but I'm getting a different message from their lawyer, which is their lawyer's claims we do not have any such rights of either ingress or egress and or parking, and that's where the rub comes. So I think a continuance is in the best interest of everybody to allow the opportunity to just sit down, try to come back to you with a mutual resolution that addresses all of these issues. So thank you very much.
You have one last time for rebuttal.
I believe that a continuance probably is not needed here, but if there is a condition on the tentative map approval that we work this out with a neighbor, I would believe that would be sufficient. I'm not sure, maybe Brad can answer that, but they do, if they can prove that they have an ingress and egress right to use that as an easement to enter and egress their rentals. But as far as parking on our piece of property, that was never established. Mediation will be taking care of that in the next week. So I think a condition would probably suffice the commission and the city at hand, I would believe, instead of continuance. So,
okay. Brad, can I get a comment from you on some legal advice on this?
I was kind of wondering what authority Mr. Hammerslaw has for a continuance. I mean, and he has none, but I think it's a courtesy to the Del Curdos do you really want to go to the trouble and expense of developing something that you could lose? He's, if I may, if I was trying to sit in a judge role, this issue came up very briefly in a conversation with Abraham, and I said it's not the city's position to be the judge. I mean, there is a judge that will decide this unless the parties are able to mediate and decide. And so the continuance really is, if I may characterize it for Mr. Hammerslaw, as a courtesy to the Del Curdos, like, don't invest a lot of money in this, because if you should lose, you're forcing the issue, you're forcing it to court. So I believe Mr. Hammerslaw is asking for time to mediate, and I think that if you were to grant and approve this tonight, that there still would be a mediation going forward. I would certainly make that personal suggestion to Darren and Derek, that before you get too far into this, you avail yourself of that negotiation. Find it out for sure. But right now, I mean, if you're looking at the ownership, it's owned by the Del Curdos, and that Dave would do what he needs to do to protect his clients. But you're completely within your rights to grant it. I mean, approve the process, or if you want to also clarify the question earlier, it should be clarified at this point, not at a final map, if there are, because that entire building used to be commercial, and there would be some parking spaces that the city has allowed in the past in the redevelopment of the buildings downtown, that, you know, they're allowed the credit for the parking, and I don't know that that was done by staff so far to know exactly what that number is. Because I don't know, I don't understand, maybe Jill or Abraham could show the calculation. But that entire area was, I mean, that entire building was commercial. And I believe we have extra residential parking here than what is required, the 1.5 space.
Okay. Any other speakers on this item? Close public hearing now at 7:22. So let's, Gabriel, what are your thoughts? Greg?
I mean, I'm inclined to grant approve the project. I mean, they have to work it out. I mean, I don't think that not approving it's, you know, they're still gonna have to work it out between the two of them as far as the rest of it goes, but as far as, I don't see any harm in approving the project with the condition that, you know, that Darren mentioned in his comments.
Because that is the requirement for the parking requirement is part of the approval. They can't work it out, and they can't go forward with it.
Right.
One other item that came up, point of discussion brought up by Commissioner Alvarez, and I agree with, is that I would like to add a condition of a traffic calming measure like a speed bump to mitigate cars from just zooming through there from San Benito Street to East Street. So I would like to, regardless, add a condition to add some type of a control measure to mitigate that traffic issue or potential traffic issue. So we could move this forward and
I would move it forward and let them work it out.
and condition that they
Yeah.
work it out. Right. Okay.
That would be.
All right. So Commissioner Harvey, you want to make a motion?
There would be 4 resolutions. So we'll start with the tentative map, and then we'll have to vote on that, and then you'll have the variance, the CEP for the Pioneer Development, and then the site architectural review. So there's 4 separate resolutions.
So we start with the site and architectural review.
Oh, the tentative map.
Oh, the tentative map.
Correct.
Okay, tentative map. Okay, so.
With the addition of the condition for the, if that's the wish of the commission, for adding a traffic calming measure?
Yes.
Okay.
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 So I entertain a motion for the tentative map with the addition of a condition for a traffic calming measure.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make the motion. What resolution would that be?
That would be 2015-26.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-26 and approve tentative map 2015-3 with the additional condition of a traffic calming measure and that with all the other draft conditions.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Tentative map has been approved.
Next will be for the variance is the next.
The variance,
Okay.
2015-1. Resolution number on that?
2015-27.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-27 and adopt variance 2015-1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 And then the CEP for the Plan Unit Development. PC Resolution -28.
PC resolution, PC resolution dash
28.
2015-28.
Yeah, correct.
I'll make a resolution, a motion to adopt resolution 2015-28 and approve conditional use permit
Planning development.
with the condition that they work out that parking issue and the easement issue from both parties involved.
Second.
A motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Conditional use permit has been approved.
And then
Planned
the
unit
site-
development,
Yeah, and then the site and architectural is the last one.
site and architectural, okay.
Mhm.
Resolution number?
2015-29.
I will make a motion to adopt PC resolution 2015-29 and approve site and architectural review number 2015-5 with the conditions in the draft resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Site and architectural review number 2015-5 has been approved. Okay. Now we go on to new business. Apricot Lane subdivision facade design review.
So on,
No, leave it in there.
Oh, Carol.
Just kidding.
How can we miss
Bill,
Carol?
please. Abraham,
Nice meditation back
can you
there.
Yeah,
introduce our new?
It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
I cleaned your whiteboard
Thanks.
really good.
Thanks. Did you eat all the
Okay.
chips?
I cleaned it pretty good.
Okay, we're on new business, Carol. Apricot Lane subdivision facade design review.
Excuse our manners, Mr. Chair. Before we do the report, we would like to introduce to you our intern. We opened up a position for an intern, student position, and I'd like to introduce to you a student from Cal Poly by the name of Michael Givens. And we've had him already for about 3 weeks now. He's done an excellent job so far. And, we here are, put him to work right away. I mean, he's already given presentation. And he's done excellent. So we're really happy and pleased to have him. So this is Michael Givens. He's here with us for the summertime as an intern.
Great. I've had the privilege of meeting Michael, and that's a good school, Cal Poly. You can't go better than that. Yeah. Well, welcome on board. Yeah. They even beat San Jose State. Sorry about that, Brad.
It's a party school.
Okay, Michael, you want to take a
all
crack
right,
at the
so
staff
going with
report?
new business. On December 18th, 2014, the City of Hollister Planning Commission approved tentative map 2014-4 to subdivide 21.16 acres into 100 single-family lots. The applicant has submitted a pre-plotted plan depicting specified locations for each floor plan option. The applicant is proposing a mix of facade styles such as early Californian, French country, and craftsman. Floor plan shall conform to the residential design standards in the City of Hollister Municipal Code per section 17.04.030. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider approving facades of the proposed residential dwelling units for tentative map 2014-4 Apricot Lane to be consistent with section 17.04.030 residential general development standards of the Hollister Municipal Code.
Thank you, Michael. And this is mostly informational. It's more of not necessarily an action that needs to be taken, but more of a consensus from the Planning Commission that it does meet the residential development standards as Michael indicated in his report.
Nice variety of vernaculars.
Were there any questions with that?
Any questions? So we move forward with that.
All right, moving on, the Village's facade design review. On May 22nd, 2014, the City of Hollister's Planning Commission approved tentative map 2013-3 to subdivide 32.36 acres into 155 single-family lots. The applicant is proposing a mix of facade styles of 1- and 2-story options, such as Spanish, villa, and cottage. Floor plans shall conform to the residential design standards in the City of Hollister Municipal Code per section 17.04.030. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider approving facades of the proposed residential dwelling units for tentative map 2013-3, the villages to be consistent with section 17.04.030 residential development standards of the Hollister Municipal Code.
Any comments on those architectural styles? What do you think, Carol?
I like the two that, I favor the two more over the cottage, is what I thought. Or was that on the last one?
I was kind of like to, I know I'd like to see the second story wall jogged in a little bit, but just adding cost. All the single stories are fine. I think they're, in my view, they're.
I mean, yeah, they look good. I'm not an architect, but when I look at it, they look decent.
That's too bad, you're not an architect.
I'm not an architect. I kind of know what looks good, though, so.
Good.
I
find it.
I like the villa front. I
Do you
always
have
like
any
those
issues,
curves.
commissioners, on these styles? No?
Think they look good?
What do you think? What do you think, Gabriel?
Just shutters are just something that I don't like.
You shudder about the shutters?
And I like shutters. They dress it up a little. I know. I'm flexible.
I bet you I could get 5 opinions up there.
Well, you gotta have some of that gingerbread and doodads on the facade.
Shutters are cool.
Otherwise, it's
I don't
just
have
a
any problem with the
plain-
shutters. Okay, I think they're fine.
Yeah, they do look
Yeah,
good.
they're fine. These are not,
It sure beats one thing, and you
they're
have
just not,
variety. So
you know,
I like
not
it.
a
Yeah,
big
it's
box,
under,
you know, so I don't
Right.
wanna see like a big shoe box with a head on it.
It's in the desktop, in the screen.
I mean, this one looks really good.
That looks good.
Spanish front.
The garages, you know, normally you kind of like to see them set back a little bit,
Right.
but I don't want to be because I'm an architect, you know, overdo it, so.
It's flat though right here, right? It's not leading
Yeah.
with the garage,
You
it's
got-
just parallel with the
yeah.
front.
I don't see the garage as being distracting on those
Right.
facades. I think they're fine.
Yeah.
So do you need a motion on this, or just for information, or what?
Information purposes,
Okay.
consensus as well.
I think-
If there was an issue, right now would have been the time to state it, but
I think we have you have the consensus of the commission to go ahead and go forward with.
for both
Yeah.
Apricot Lane and the villages,
Real
very well.
nice.
About you guys, okay?
The applicants are actually here as well.
Okay.
They came because they cared and wanted to make sure that
I'm
that
sure you
planning
helped guide the
commission-
applicant on these styles, right?
the applicant.
Got your input on it?
The applicants provided the styles, and we just reviewed it and made sure that they met the development, residential development standards, and before we brought them before you.
Good job,
So-
working together with the applicant.
Yeah.
That's great.
Try.
You know, it's refreshing to have a little bit of insight into the single-family dwelling because we never did that.
Yes.
So it's a good thing to see what they're planning. Before, it was not ever an issue.
That's correct.
And we get more variety now, so.
That's
it's
correct.
a good thing.
And I remember you being at staff, Commissioner Lenore, and indicated, you know, how the variety, the diversity is part of
Yeah.
our section of our code, that every
Yeah.
4th, 5 unit has to be differentiated. The garages should be set back to create.
As
you
much
know,
as possible.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's good. And the applicants have been meeting those requirements.
Cool.
Very good, very good.
Yes.
Okay, you want to go on to item number 2 then, on new business? Excuse me, that was number 1 and 2. We go on to number 3. Amendments to the Title 17 zoning to the Hollister Municipal Code. An ordinance to amend miscellaneous sections of Title 17 zoning to assure internal consistency and minor clarifications in the Hollister Municipal Code for clarifications and corrections to standards for residential densities.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the Planning Commission, we are bringing this item before the planning commission met with the city council in a joint meeting to discuss housing in the city of Hollister. And one of the things that came up was, as mentioned earlier during Mr. Hugh Bickle's project, that to create that diversity and variety of homes, one of the incentives would be to allow for smaller lots, to provide for variety of densities. We do have in our city municipal code the performance overlay zone, but the performance overlay zone is specific. The project itself has to meet certain criteria. Then from there, we have our regular standing zoning requirements. As you can see in the screen before you, we have the existing, for example, Old Town Meeting. You know, if a home is non-conforming and if it's unfortunately dilapidated, then the city with the ordinance indicates, well, you know, if it's below the 5,000 square foot minimum for a medium density, then really, if it's over 75% of the assessed value is dilapidated, then really they cannot do any improvements. They should just try to consolidate with another lot. And so what we find is that a lot of the property owners are not tending to do that. We haven't had one, to my understanding, since I've been there. And so what we find is that we've been seeing a lot of, or we're opening it up for blight in the city. So based on the City Council Planning Commission joint meeting, and also based on what we're seeing out there, one of the things that we're proposing to the Planning Commission for recommendation to the City Council tonight as a consensus, and then we could bring it back as well to the Planning Commission formally for a resolution, is, for example, to try to see if we can minimize or make the minimum lot sizes smaller. For example, we have only like in the R3 and R4 zoning districts to allow for homes to be built on smaller lots. For example, in the existing Old Town medium density residential, if you see, for one unit, the minimum lot size is 5,000 square feet. We are proposing to maintain that as 5,000 square feet. But then when we go into 2 units, existing is at 8,000 square feet, and by doing the calculations, it would still remain within that density requirement of 8 to 12 units per acre, but lowering it down to 7,000 square feet. That would be one of the changes that we would like to propose to the Planning Commission. For 3 units, right now we have at 11,000 square feet, and we would like to propose lowering it down to 10,000 square feet. So it's not much, but it would make a difference in the development density for R3.
If I can also just interrupt a little bit, one of the concepts behind land assembly, it was real big, and Gabriel probably can recall this, is when we actually had a redevelopment and we had a housing set aside.
Yes.
Without funding to help assemble properties, it's very difficult to ask property owners who have a 2,500 square foot lot to get with their neighbor who has a 2,500 square foot lot to get with their neighbor and you know, that's not necessarily what's happening. It's not real world sort of, it's not applicable actually right now in the real world. And what we're seeing is that, and I know everybody kind of knows, you know, you can go down some streets and you would see houses that look dilapidated. We get calls all the time, I would like to fix my roof, I would like to do this, I would like to do that. And it's almost like we're prohibiting for them keeping up their houses, but we don't give them an end to the means. I mean, we just say you're going to just keep, it's just going to keep being dilapidated until it eventually falls down, and then what? Then you have a vacant lot because nothing around you is going to let you consolidate with their lot. So I think I think it's time we kind of rethink the way what our philosophy is on, and at least allow people to repair their homes and look at some of these lot sizes a little bit differently.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that legal nonconforming didn't allow them to repair their home.
Yeah,
They
you're
just
not.
can't add any square
Yeah,
feet.
technically, legal nonconforming. There's a threshold, and I mean the idea behind legal nonconforming is that eventually it goes away, and if you keep making repairs to something, it just won't go away.
I never knew that. I
Yeah.
thought it was just additions.
No.
No, we do have an amortization, it just hasn't been, amortization meaning you giving legal non-conforming uses a period of time to go away. We haven't, policy matter, chosen to enforce that,
Yeah.
because
There's a
And then
lot
you're-
of legal
then you're left with an
non-conforming
empty
lots in
lot.
the old downtown.
Correct. And without, and I think we want to somehow retain that. I mean, because it's housing that's
Well, it's a,
valuable.
right.
It's valuable to our community. It's a heritage, and so, yeah, I think that communities, used to go in and bulldoze blocks and, do a high density project, and it would be all nice and new and good, but that was when there was funding sources to do that.
Yeah.
And the
or you
ability to
look
do
at
that.
downtown
Right.
Stockton, it's still bulldozed blocks.
So, well, we had something that we were looking
From
at in theory, but
bulldozing
in
in the
reality, it's not
60s.
happening. So now we have to give some flexibility.
Change with the times. I
Right.
mean, you
Yeah.
just,
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm sorry, Abraham, for interrupting.
No, that's fine. Thank you for adding that. And essentially, that's what we're requesting tonight from the Planning Commission. Just these are the things that we would like to take to the City Council. But then again, bring back to the Planning Commission, formally making that formal request. But we wanted to introduce it to you tonight, and also take it to the City Council as well. Some of these, like for example, to respond to what Bill was indicating, right now, if the lot is under 5,000 square feet and a medium density residential, then it's not conforming. So, we're trying to find ways to see if, maybe if it is under 5,000 square feet, but it's higher than the lot area per dwelling unit, which would be at 2,500 square feet, then maybe at that point they can still make repairs and they can still try to save it and not allow it to go into blight. So these are the things that we're trying to work with the property owners, or people who are interested in purchasing these homes. If they're for sale, we get a lot of calls, and it's always that same property, and we get easily over 10 calls, asking for the same, and we have to tell them again and again, per our ordinance right now, you cannot do anything because it's not conforming.
Legal non-conforming.
We
Correct.
have to stop doing that.
So we're gonna get more information.
Yes, something
I'll
more
be interested to
formal.
read that. I'll look
Yes.
forward to that.
I appreciate you bringing this to us tonight. Good points.
So Abraham, along with this, will there be any concessions or mechanisms for, like the side yard setbacks, open space requirements, that now that those lots are gonna be smaller?
That's a good question, Commissioner Torres. And right now, we would more than likely try to work with our standard setbacks that we have right now. Under new subdivisions, there's always a possibility to do a plan unit development to allow for more of a concession. But for the existing homes, we are going to try to keep our standard setbacks, and if they need to modify it or reconstruct to today's standards as well. Beautify it, but use our standards today per the adoption of our zoning ordinance.
Yeah, and we may want to revisit that, 'cause I think Gabriel brought a good point there, especially in these smaller lots.
Yes.
At least to maintain the building code standards on setbacks.
That's correct.
Okay, so we work on it some more, and it looks like everybody's
I
on
love
board
that
with that.
stuff.
All right, I know you do.
Just
We-
to make sure-
Commissioner.
We're gonna
I
have,
do
will we
too.
have a public
Read
hearing?
it.
How much some of
That
these
is
older
correct.
urban
Okay.
lots.
We will have a
you know,
public
Just wanna
hearing
make sure
for
that-
that.
that are not
Okay.
conforming.
Absolutely.
That-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they get a
mean,
chance to come and voice their
Yes.
opinions and things. Okay.
There's a
Yes.
lot of them
We
out
used to
there.
get a lot of those calls, he's right.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, anything else on that item number 3, new business? We good to go on that?
Yes, this is an introduction for what planning is working on, and we will take it to City Council and
Yeah.
bring it back formally to both.
I don't know if this is the time for Commissioner Huboy to offer something here on new business, but I have talked to John Talia and Gary McIntyre from the school district. I don't know when we're going to go through the next general plan update, but with all these divisions, subdivisions, and housing units we've been approving and allocations, where there is concern about having some space for a future school. So, has there been any discussion on when we're going to go with our next general plan updating time in the near future, where we're going to go through the land use designations and all that?
Our general plan is current to 2023 at this time, but I know that we're not going to wait till 2023 to start our process for an update. I would think it should happen pretty soon, right?
We technically need to be working on our housing element currently, and we are about 10 years in to our last general plan. And most cities or communities used to use the 7 to 10 year sort of time frame. So we should be doing an update. One of the things that I keep asking, kind of just as a general sort of question to folks, is what constitutes an update and what doesn't. Because the State Planning of Office and Research, they send us a letter every now and again and say, hey, you should really update your general plan. One of the things about our general plan, which is interesting, is that although it was adopted in 2005, that was in the middle of a building moratorium and then the Great Recession of 2008. So there hasn't been a whole lot of activity as it related to our general plan for probably 6 of the first 10 years that we've had it. So we do need to kind of start thinking about how that's actually going to work.
Probably won't be a great deal of work, though, because as you said, it didn't really come to fruition like it would have if we wouldn't have had those two things going on.
Right, and the other thing is that general plan, if you'll recall, it was so aggressively different than what our former general plan was.
Right.
It made wholesale changes across the board on a number of different things, which required a complete new zoning ordinance and everything else that went along with it. So, although it's old, it's still, I think, relatively new conceptually speaking. And so, like I said, we need to get started on doing something. We haven't figured out exactly what that
They don't want it to be as late as the last one.
I just
That other one we had
want to
forever.
be mindful of the balance of the housing developments that we are approving, and to be aware of the impact on the schools that we have. And
Well, we
sometimes
always
we're
are.
going to have to.
And I will continue to tell you, every single time we talk about schools and the city, they're not related. From the perspective of you can't deny development
on
projects
school.
because schools.
Yeah, can't do it.
So I think if you keep focused on that situation.
I know about the limitations.
Right, but
of
it
that.
doesn't mean that you shouldn't be working with the school district, and the school district is working on a plan to identify potential sites for schools, and we need to be mindful of that.
Right.
But
And that's what I'm asking.
I just want to make sure that we're all pretty careful about what we say as it relates to the growth of the
Right.
community and schools.
Right. I know you can't limit the growth of the community, but again, as you say, we need to be mindful about the balance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are required to review both the county and the city's, San Juan Batista's too, general plans and the growth projections
When you say
in those.
they,
The
Brad?
school districts,
The school
by
districts.
the ed code, they are required to do so. And they're supposed to maintain them on a 5, 10, 15-year basis and be giving that information and exchanging it. Because as you say, you run out of room quick putting portables on playgrounds and parking lots, which is what we've experienced, and that
Right.
they know that that's not the best way to educate our children too.
Yes. Okay.
They have a degree of responsibility for their own planning.
They're required to do long range,
Yeah.
short, medium, and long range planning.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to interface with you and the planning department,
Yeah.
not just say, hey, it's your problem.
Well, let's encourage that good relationship with us as a planning body and the schools.
Yeah, no, and I hear what you're saying, and I want to add one thing as it relates, because sometimes it does get even sort of there seems to be a perception out there at various levels of intergovernmental and whatnot, and even by the school districts, is that again when you put something on a map that says you're this or you're that, and you're that property owner. Okay, you need to be very careful what I'm telling that you can and cannot do with your property, because as most people will tell you, sometimes that can constitute a taking if that's not necessarily what you felt like your property was for.
Right.
And, you know, there may be a huge difference in land value between a school and a nice subdivision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know.
So just,
I know, but, and we don't want to be accused of legislative taking. But we also want to have a nice, healthy community. So, you know,
I
we all
can't
want
agree
that.
more.
Yeah. And that's what I brought up here for my contribution to new business. Go into department reports.
We have none.
I just want to thank the commission for always, and the city of Hollister in general, for allowing us to bring in young professionals to help, to get an education, get some practical experience. I know that, you know, I was an intern. It didn't help me at all, but, and I know that Jill and Abraham were both interns for the city of Hollister, and it turns into something very special, usually in the long run. And I've also appreciated that everybody's very amenable to having interns present. I know there's a lot of communities that would not ever allow that to happen, but here I absolutely agree with it 100%. And if you're here a week and we're paying you to be here for a week, you can present. So.
Great. And I also was an intern to the planning department of City of San Jose.
Did they have planning way back then?
It was back when they had
You pay your interns?
stone knives and cakes.
Interns are good.
Right.
For, you know if they might fit in.
Oh, I
and
knew I was
already-
left myself
and
open
where
for
those
that.
Adobe bricks go.
That's okay.
I had the pleasure of working with several interns, and I'm
Yeah.
glad to see that these two are here
I
for
tell you, the
really.
technology certainly has changed since I was an intern.
Yeah.
You know.
You started as intern or assistant planner?
As an intern.
Oh yeah, it was, huh? Yeah, you guys did good. And I'm telling you, the interns are dedicated. They have to step it up. 'cause
And that
they're
was
trying to do
after
something.
I graduated from San Jose State and went to West Valley College into architecture, and that's when I started being an intern, so you know how long I've been around. Okay, Planning Commission reports. You want to say about the rally or anything like that?
I thought it was nicely done, and I hear it was a success. So very nice, City of Hollister and City Council.
Right.
I think they did a great service to the community, and I'm not a rally fan, but I recognize something good when I see it.
Yeah.
Put aside my personal opinion for the good of the community. So nice job.
Right.
And I wasn't here for the rally either, but I understand it went pretty smoothly. It was
No, it went really good. I
successful,
thought
so.
the memorial was awesome. And I appreciate you guys, the city's efforts to take Dunn Park, and it really, you guys have really done a great job of that park. It's, the movies in the park the other night was.
Yeah.
I was reading your board in there. You're actually 4 years ahead of schedule on those tennis court completion. It said 2000. It said 2000. You don't see that every day, right? Good job on the tennis courts.
Skateboard and tennis.
I also
I
want
might
to.
even go use them.
I also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for the Saddle Horse Parade. That was a lot of fun, and you know, a lot of people worked hard on that. I just want to say that I enjoyed participating in it. That's about
Street
it.
festival too.
Oh, again, that's another thing I wasn't around, but that was good. I saw the pictures. Anybody participate in the street festival, commissioners? No?
I was too busy working my bed.
A lot of cars out there.
Yeah, the street festival I thought was a huge success this year. We had a lot of people.
HTA.
We had a lot of cars this year.
Mhm.
We incorporated a chili cook-off, which I think was actually very nicely done.
Who won the chili
It's
cook-off?
gaining in
Bill?
popularity.
Who won it?
A couple funny stories. Essentially, Cal Fire won the judged chili cook-off, and then the People's Choice was actually won by Hollister Fire. Yeah.
Great. All right. That's good.
One of the things that I would, I'm sort of work, if I have time, which I don't have much of, but bringing some music into the park, at Dunn Park. Like I talked to Mr. O's, and they would love to do that. We just got to find a way to, I don't know what all the logistics are of making it happen, but, it was just something simple. There, you know, like I talked to him about, he would love to go down there. He said 5 to 7, you know, on a Saturday afternoon. And I said, heck, I'll volunteer and bring out the wedding chairs that I have for people to sit in and all that. But so I'm not quite sure what the logistics are to set something like that up. But it's just really a casual thing, I think, that, you know, to.
Like they used to do on top of the Briggs building, only do it in the park.
Yeah.
That was really
Just hoping there's not a
successful
lot
up
of
there,
red tape
but
to
it
do
wasn't
all
really an
that.
appropriate use for a parking structure. But it was popular.
It was. I enjoyed it up there.
They like music.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about music in the park with somebody, and I don't know if the idea came from you, Commissioner Harvey, or if it was coming from somebody else, but I know that we are sort of.
Mary, I sent
It was
an
maybe
email
Mary,
to
okay.
Mary
Yeah,
and
so
stuff.
we are sort of kind of working on that, and whether or not you know, like I said, we always have to be sort of mindful of the neighbors as well. I know that, you know, your business is right across the street and you live across the street, but there are some other folks that live across the street from the park, and
Well, no,
that's
the-
their open
the-
space that's not to be used.
Well, the idea was to do it, that's why the idea was to do it from like 5 to 7, because that, I mean, believe me, if you want to talk about somebody don't want noise in the park, noise from my neighbors, I'm it. Because if people come to the bed and breakfast, they want quiet, and I want it quiet. I don't want any loud, I don't want anything loud beyond 7, 8 o'clock at night, so.
You
but
don't want
from
any
5 to
loud
7, I
blues
think-
playing architect.
I'm looking
that's
at,
for
you know,
sure.
I think, you know, late in the afternoon like that would be fine, you know.
Okay.
So, anyway, just an
And-
idea. I think it would
yeah.
be a good thing for.
Yeah, the city of Hollister has really started to focus a lot of their attention on parks. We're making not only improvements to Dunn Park, but some of the other parks. And then I would also like to say that I think it's August 7th, if that's a Friday, is the next movies in the park. And I encourage everybody to come out and enjoy the evening. I heard the last movie in the park was actually pretty successful. There wasn't a ton of people, but it was very well attended. So
The next one will be more attended. I think it kind of caught people off guard.
It did.
They
It
didn't see
absolutely did.
coming.
It
But
absolutely
once
did.
the word gets around, that's a
Yes.
good one.
Yeah.
Great.
Good old Dunn Park. It's hopping.
Good
Thanks for
things.
the doggy bags.
You were talking about the fountain. I was reading the paper. You guys were talking about the water feature.
Yeah, there was a water feature.
There was a water
There was a
feature.
water feature. I had no idea that
Yeah,
there was a water
we
feature.
used
So,
to dip our toes in there.
so there's some
Yeah.
discussion about that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good things happening. I guess that we're ready for adjournment. Anything, Carol? Did you want to
No,
offer
that-
anything else? Anybody else?
No.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thanks for coming.